What's good, everybody? You are tuned in to Track Talk Radio. I'm Miss Tack Talk. We have a special guest with us today, Danny Champ Calafell, on the line with us, and we're going to be going over several things that are going to be very beneficial to not only artists, but just individuals themselves, and it's going to apply to a lot of things that are going on in everybody's lives, especially for today and the pandemic and just everything that's going on in the world. Danny, what's up? How you doing? Go ahead and introduce yourself to them.
Thank
Let
you
them
for
know
having me.
Yeah, no problem. So let's talk about some of the things that you do. First of all, you where are you from?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
And is that where you were born and raised?
Born and raised in Miami. I have family in New York, and I live from time to time. But and I tell people my morals and ethics come from New York, but my heart's over there. But I'm from Miami.
Okay. So one of the first things I'm sure that we should get into is you started out as a pro athlete, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that. So you were a boxer, right? How did you get into that?
Well, I was very lost as a kid. I've been on my own since about the age of about 14, and found myself in the streets and just I was a disaster. Anybody that you could talk to that knew me from back then was I was guaranteed to either be in jail for the rest of my life or dead. It was pretty bad, and it just came from just being out with the wrong people, getting influenced and just when you have that lack of upbringing or that lack of family structure, you tend to find people that you can relate to, and I related to people that were out there, and they when they were up to no good, I wanted to fit in, you could say. So then it just led to that. And for my father, he used to box in the Army, and for a while he was always constantly telling me, I want to take you to the gym, I want to get, because he knew that getting your mind off of geared towards something else would give me some sort of a distraction from the problems that I was having. And sure enough, 17 hit, when I was 17, and I got into some big issues, and I got sent away, and when I came back, I sat down with my father, and I was like, okay, tell me about what it is that you've been trying to get me involved in for so long. So we went over to a gym in Miami on South Beach, and I'm still friends with the owner to this day, and it's a lot of great fighters train there. She actually opened up the gym up the street from where Muhammad Ali used to train at the original Fifth Street Gym. And she opened it up with Ali's trainer Angelo Dundee. So I just started getting to know a lot of people at the gym and so forth. And then from that moment forward, I just fell in love with the sport. And my entire focus was just going to the gym, getting healthy. I stopped drinking, I was on drugs when I was younger. So it just completely diverted, and you could say just shifted my, I wouldn't say obsession, but my mindset,
right,
from that type of life to a new life.
And with that, you ended up actually kind of not only getting like some discipline and learning different things, but you ended up meeting quite a few people and networking, and you had you had a great career.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've always been one to want to be around the best, and surround myself with winners. And as I got more in depth in the sport, it was like, all right, now I have a good understanding of this. I know where I want to go. I know where I want to end up. I know, I want to take this on as a career. So my next thing was, all right, I need to get me around some of the top guys. So I just started going from gym to gym to gym, and just meeting different people. And With my personality, a lot of people fell in love, just with my personality alone. I go to the gym, and I was surrounded by nothing but world champions. I mean, guys that were getting ready to fight on TV, pay-per-view, Showtime, HBO at the time, ESPN, all that. And, I just started building myself up, career-wise, around the greats, around top guys, trainers, top trainers in the world. And, from that moment forward, then I was also, at that time, I was doing club promotions. So, entertainment industry and being an athlete pretty much go hand in hand. They hang out together and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
I ended up meeting a tremendous amount of different celebrities and establishing, a lot of relationships and connections from there. And it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah, fun times. But that's it's such a great story because oftentimes we do know people who grew up rough, however, maybe they didn't have, maybe it wasn't even rough, they were just poor or whatever the case may be. And so, to hear that you had, at the end of the day, you had somebody that could get you into the gym and take your mind off of things and kind of lead you in a different direction is definitely dope. So we want our listeners to know that there's hope out there, maybe for some of you who are feeling like you don't have a way. This is one of the reasons why we have Danny on the line right now, because he's got a lot of great advice and a lot of great experience that he can give you guys through his website and different programs that he has. From boxing, you went on to having a record label, right?
Yeah. I've always had a passion. I always had a passion for music. When I was younger, I played 5 instruments by ear before I learned how to read music. So music has always been a big passion of mine. And, business I got from my father. And like I said, as I continued with my career in the sport, I had a good understanding. I was very well aware of everything that was around me. When you're at that level of being, or when you're around people at that level, then your eyes are a little bit more open to the bigger scope of things.
Yeah. And
I saw a similarity where not a lot of them had a lot to fall back on when their career was done.
Right.
And to me, I thought to myself, okay, I don't want to end up like that. You have two types of people in life. One, you have the type of people who learn from other people's mistakes, and you have the people who learn from their own. Obviously, learning from your own takes a lot longer than if you just look at the people around you or look at other examples and you apply it. So my whole thing was all right, well, what can I do when I'm done? So my next thing was okay, business. What do I want to get into? And then ended up meeting somebody at an event, and he brought up getting involved in music, and it just fit hand in hand. It just felt like a good fit. So I dove into understanding the business aspect of it, and I used my connections. People that I was constantly meeting, people that I had already formed relationships with, celebrities and all of that, and I started a record company.
How long did you have
in 2010.
Yeah, and how long did that last? 2010 to when?
It was about 2-3 years. About 2-3 years.
Nice. Who did you have on your team with you during that time? If you want to talk about that or not, it's okay. But
what do you mean?
What artist did you have?
Oh, we did a competition down here. It was actually one of the pretty big competition down here in South Florida. It was open to all genres of music. So that was the direction I was going in. I didn't want to have it geared towards just one genre.
Right.
I wanted it to be open. I've never been the type to like to be limited. So I wanted to make sure that it was really, really diverse. I like all music, and at the end of the day, when you just stick to one thing, you limit yourself. So yeah. I wanted to have it where it was all right, we have a bit of hip hop, we have a bit of rock and roll, we have a bit of this, we have a bit of that, jazz, country, and so it was a mixture of different artists, and my whole thing was, what I didn't like was the reliance on the artist in order to be successful,
right,
instead of being able to rely on myself. So it was like, no matter how hard it was that I worked, or I had the team that I had, no matter how hard it was that we were working, our dependency had to fall on if the artist was showing up, if the artist was doing this, if the artist was doing what we explained to them, if the artist actually saw the vision that we had in place and took what it was that we were pushing behind them and they did something with it. And that's where my disconnect was. I didn't like that.
yeah. Well, I know that in my career, as long as I've been doing this, it's always been hip hop. And then like a few years ago, I wanted to switch it over to where it was all genres, which I had a hard time doing because I had been hip hop, rap, trap, R&B for so long. But best believe, guys out there in the world, I do want all genres, and I'm going to be working towards that because I don't want to limit myself, and I don't want others to have to limit themselves. I want to have a platform that's going to be, worth it for everybody. So yeah, maybe me and you'll have to have a conversation later about that. So
definitely.
yeah, so then you went from having a record label into business. I mean, what did you initially do when you started doing more business stuff? How did that work for you? Was it a hard transition, or did you just really, were you able to just take one step at a time and just, was it easy to do, or was it difficult?
Nothing's ever easy. I would say that it was different. Right. Because when you go from the entertainment industry, mind you, I was more so on the back end of things. I wanted to be the face, and I wanted to be up front, just because I was just so used to the attention that I got from the sport.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind that. But like when I would sit back, it was more just on a business mindset more than anything else. So the transition was just different, because when you go from entertainment to corporate, it's a switch. But so to answer your question, I mean, it was different, but it wasn't easy.
Right.
I had a lot. I mean, I'm still learning. It's a never-ending learning process, you could say. But I had a bit of a shortcut, you could say, just because I used the leverage that I had from the connections that I had, the relationships that I built, and then my own ability to be able to just go out there and just talk to people.
Right.
So I just ended up meeting a lot of different entrepreneurs and super successful people. Remember, like I told you before, like my whole thing was, I want to be around the best. I want to surround myself around the best. I never liked the fact of anything mediocre at all. So it was like always top notch, and that came from when I told you when I was boxing.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't want to be around amateurs. I mean, nothing against that. It's just there's only a certain level that I would learn. I wanted to be around the top elite guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though in the beginning stage I wasn't at that level, I knew that at least if I was working with them, I'd come a bit short, but I'd still be a lot better off than somebody else who was training around people that, were at their level. So same thing that transitioned over in the business aspect. It's like when I was around, when I was meeting and approaching and wanting to surround myself around different entrepreneurs, it was like, all right, what are they doing? How are they doing it? What level are they at?
Right.
And what can I learn from them?
Yeah. What
can I offer?
Well, that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize is like, you can't ask for something if you don't have something to offer. Like, you have to like have something too. But aside from that, how did you know when you had like the right idea for the direction you wanted to go in? Because one thing about, having a business oriented mindset is that creative people can often like get a little too far ahead of themselves. And,
okay.
Yeah. So when do you feel like you knew you had the right idea? You knew which direction you were going in, other than like knowing people and things like that? Because I'm just asking because I know people are going to ask me these things, but you have gone through so many levels. I mean, when did you really realize that this is what you wanted to do?
When I saw the potential.
Yeah. That's a great answer. Yeah. So
When I saw that I was that I didn't. When I saw that, and what it really was the sales aspect of it. When I saw that it's me that controls my success. It's me that has complete 100% control. And when I understood that, it wasn't at the mercy of, like when I was boxing, at the mercy of the judges or at the mercy of promoters or the politics of boxing and the politics of just the entertainment industry itself.
yeah.
When it wasn't the music industry, where I was at the mercy of this and I was at the mercy of that, and we were limited in this, we were limited in that, we were, had to depend on the artists and stuff like that. When I really sat down and I said, okay, this is something I'm going to get going, and the success is me. If I fail, I have nobody to blame but myself at this point. That's what led me to know that it was the right thing.
Right.
And that's just me. I can't speak for everybody. I can just speak for me. I don't like being limited.
Right, because, well, that's true. And then a lot of people who move forward and do things, they will, they'll give up their health, sanity, happiness just for money. And in the end, we're going to get more into this, but in the end, they don't really end up anywhere. They're not really going anywhere. So
right.
For you, if you want to let the guys, all our listeners know what it is that you're doing now, which is a big deal. And there's so many different ways there's so many different opportunities that people have and they don't really realize. And I know that you can kind of touch base on some of those things. So why don't we kind of get into that?
Sure. So, I ended up cutting a lot of the time in half, you could say, when it came to getting the experience or the knowledge that I have now, just by not only being around the right people, but diving in and learning as much as I could.
Yeah, and being around the right people is important.
What's that?
Being around the right people is important.
Right. But then it's also determining if they're right or wrong. Because you have a lot of people out there that their intention is to give good advice. Their intention is to help people out, but it doesn't match up to the results that will end up happening. Like, for example, there's parts of my family where I'll listen to them for certain things, and there's things that I won't listen to.
Yeah.
Friends also. Just because they have good intention, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right decision or it's the right move to make. Because they're going based off of things that's led them to have the experiences that they've had. It's like when I look at somebody giving me advice, I'm like, okay, well, where are you at? Or where are you headed? Or who are you hearing this stuff from? Rather than, okay, I know you care about me, so I'm going to listen to what you say.
Right.
It varies. So, to answer your question as far as, where I'm at now, that's, where my mindset is. As far as, what it is I'm doing, I have a business consulting and marketing firm. I've had the company for about 8 years. If people do the math, I've been doing business for about 10 years. With my company, we do consulting, sales training. We have 2 of the top sales training programs globally. It's consisting of, you could say, over 500 courses on everything sales. And we do that through 2 verticals, one being online, the other live. We also offer marketing services, both digital and traditional. I have one of the top teams in the country with that. And then we do software. So we're doing not only development, but we also have some software that we offer to businesses as well. And primarily, we work with companies doing, small to mid-sized companies. Biggest we'll work with is 400, 500 million. For some services, some of the other services, we work with Fortune 500 companies.
Right.
And,
And that's TriWorld.
And then apart from that, and that's TriWorld. Then apart from that, then I have my brand, things that I do on the side, which, as you know, I wrote a book.
Yes.
I'm an author. I'm working on the structure of another one. I also speak. I stick to what I know: business, sales, and strategy. And companies can also hire me, individually. You have some companies where, they just want to hire me. They'll hire me through the company, but they hire me individually.
So with your brand, is it D Champs Network or is it Champs Corner?
No. So my brand is my name, Danny Calafell. It's just I have different little things like so D Champs Network. That's like you could say like a network that I just put together. So it's like we're building it out. A lot of it's just content that I have, but we're going to add on as time goes. Different types of individuals that will come on, and they'll either do a show or they'll do like a segment to talk about and give advice in their fields and so forth. And then Champs Corner is a show I do on Mondays. I do it live, 3 p.m., and I talk business, sales, increasing income. It's mainly just to give advice, strategies for people that have a career, people that are in sales, and business owners, entrepreneurs.
Right. So with D Champs Network, is that YouTube or is Champs Corner YouTube?
They're both YouTube and Facebook. We run that simultaneously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when they go to find that, do they look under those names or do they look under your name?
They can look under my name. They just go to Danny Calafell on Google, and they'll find both. They can go to the website on my website, DannyCalafell.com. If you scroll all the way down, then you'll be able to see all the different links there, from the company to the Champs Network to Champs Corner would be on YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah.
You just type in the name.
Okay. I just wanted to make a point of that so everybody knows where to go, because there's you really have so much to offer. I guess we would just tell everybody, like, just Google him. Google me. Google me. Because you do have so much. Because you do have so much going on, which is really great. One thing I wanted to touch base on, and we talked about it, is talking about how a lot of this can help individuals just in general. If you want to just touch base on that and just kind of, because we talked about it, and all of this, there's so many different things that can help people that maybe feel lost or maybe don't know where to start or maybe have no clue on what to do. I'll let you go ahead and go with that, because that was one of the things that I know you wanted to talk about.
Well, you know what people, because see, I could speak from one perspective, but I want to know, like, from your perspective, for your listeners and for, people that would, find this, like, what do you feel is important in relation to that question?
Well, one...
I mean, it all is important, but
it is.
What's something that you feel would be a big question? Like the giant question mark?
Well, I don't know what the giant question mark would be, but I will tell you some of the things that I would want my listeners to understand. One, how important marketing is for them, because I think a lot of artists don't understand that. I think a lot of artists think that...
Let's touch on...
Go ahead.
Let's touch on marketing.
I think a lot of people think that they can just post on Facebook and they're going to be famous, or Instagram, and that's really not it. So, yeah.
Marketing is who knows you.
Yeah.
So this is going to open up a lot of people's mindset now, because a lot of people tend to look at views and likes and even followers and think that they're doing something when in reality they're not. And they even think that the people that they might look up to are doing something, and they're really not.
Right.
The reason why I say that is you have 7.5 billion people in this planet. So when you take that number, 7.5 billion, and you knock that down to an individual who has 1 million followers on Instagram or 1 million followers on Facebook, it opens up your mind a lot more to really understand that you're truly not doing much. So then when you knock it down to 20,000 or 1,000 or however many, it's nothing. So the idea that people have of marketing, when they think that just because they're posting things one time or two times and they're really going to get the attention of people, it's the same thing as that saying, you know, if a tree in a forest falls, did it really fall? Because, you know, did it make a noise?
Yeah.
You don't know.
So
because there's so many trees in that forest.
That's true. And I think a lot of people don't even take the time out to even think about stuff like that. It's like people ask me all the time, like, well, you know, I don't know why I'm not getting any noise. I'm like, you're just not, I don't want to say you're not doing the right thing, but you're not putting your music where it needs to be, or you're not, it's not going in the right direction. You're just doing regular stuff that anybody on an everyday base would do. So do you have advice for an independent artist? Like,
know your audience.
Yeah, know your audience. And the funny thing is I've told people that over the years so many times, and I don't know how to get it into them, like how to understand that.
You have to study your craft. You have to know first you have to know what market you're going to be targeting, and that's anything. You relay that to business, you relay that to somebody who's looking for work, you relay that to an artist, you know, in the entertainment industry, you relay that to anything. I mean, even athletes. Athletes have fans.
Yeah.
Now, certain people are going to follow you, and certain people aren't going to like you because they don't like the sport, or they don't like your personality, or they don't like the way that you do this or the way that you do that, because everybody has a different style. Like in boxing, they say styles make fights, you know?
Right.
In music, it's the same thing. In every aspect of life, period, everybody has their own style or their way of doing things. And it's either going to be likable for some people or it's going to be unlikable for some people. Your job is to get all of the people to know what it is you're doing, the likable and not likable.
Yeah, and that's...
Because if they're not talking about you, you're not doing much. So even if they're talking about you in a negative way, they're talking about you. I want people to talk about me.
Yeah,
I don't
me
care
too.
if they say good or bad things. Talk about me.
I know that's right. So I guess another one of my questions for you would be is, you know, as far as individuals, some of this stuff, what about just a household mom or a family? Like, how can some of the things that you offer even help, you know, just a day-to-day type of person?
Great question. So, sales. I'm gonna tie this into sales. Sales is a life skill. It's not just a career. So, your household mom or your family or whatever it is you tie this into, you know, when it comes to the sales thing, it's very, very important because, again, this ties into life. So if everybody has to drive nowadays, you go to the dealership, when you're negotiating on a car, that's sales. That's negotiation. You know, when you're at the mall as a woman, you're out there trying to shop for the best deals, that's sales. That's negotiation. You know, so I mean, when you're sitting there and you're in a I'm not going to say an argument, but
a debate.
Well, yeah. When you're arguing with your husband and your wife, or your kids or something, you know, having a good understanding of where they're coming from, their perspective, just helps the relationship itself. That's part of selling. That's part of sales.
Right.
Sales is I'm trying to sell you on my perception and have you understand what it is that I'm talking about, where it is that I'm coming from, and have you really grasp it in order to buy into it.
Right.
And then tied into that, I have to have an understanding of where your mindset is and where your perspective is.
Yeah, it's not a one-way street.
Exactly. They say, it's like the saying, perception is reality. Okay? So I could pick up, and I said this the other day, I could pick up a golf ball. and I paint half of that golf ball black, and on the other side is the regular color. Now I hold it up, and if I'm standing in front of you, to you it's white, and you're gonna till you're blue in the face, you're gonna tell me that it's white.
Exactly.
But to me, it's black. So my perception is, hey, this is black. Your perception is, hey, that's white. We're both right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a very good way to look at things, and actually, that's pretty dope. And I think a lot of people kind of forget that idea of things, and it's not really an idea; it's actual facts. But, sales, debating, learning how to deal with people, learning how to communicate and talk and get your point across, and actually like receive information, exchange information, give and whatever. It's all like a huge part of life, and that's pretty much like what you do, and I think for a lot of our listeners, if they go to your website, whether it's TRIWORLD or any of the other ones that you have, I think that everybody will be able to find something that's going to be beneficial for them, whether they're an individual human being, whether they're an artist, whether they're just, a day-to-day person, whatever your case may be. I'm pretty sure Danny, Champ Calafell, can help you in any situation you have. And basically that's why I wanted to bring you on the show and really get a chance to talk with you, just to let people know, like, you can come from, hard times, and if you focus and, work, or if you find the right people that can help you, just like kind of your dad kind of reeled you in, you went to the gym, and it all started from there. I believe that if people would actually take some time out to go visit your sites and see what you do, that you would have plenty of affordable or, opportunity or just stuff for them to read, especially if they go see you on YouTube or go to your Instagram. You talk so much about so much stuff that's just great for people to hear. So I want to talk about your book that you wrote.
Especially in a time like this, it's extremely important. I think because a lot of people right now, they're lost. I know for a while people were scared. I think for some people, they are still scared.
Yeah.
Because we're not in a very good place right now. Economically, we're in a recession. I don't care what anybody says as far as, the economy is doing great. People have to understand the economy can do phenomenal. That's the stock market. What do small businesses have to do with the stock market? What do individuals have to do in the stock market if they're not invested in the stock market? Stock market could be skyrocketing, but people are still losing jobs. And I believe they did the poll earlier this week. It was 18 million people are still without work. So,
18 million
that
people.
number's going to drop. I'm sorry?
And that's a lot of people. 18 million people without work. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that number is going to still go up because you have more and more businesses that are realizing now that they're not going to be able to sustain everything that's gone on, the hits that everybody's taken from this. And it's either, we talk about this at my company when I'm on the phone with customers, and because I make calls, I'm on the phone every day. I talk to businesses, and there's three things that people are doing right now. They're either staying still because they're scared, they're just stuck frozen. You could say, like that deer in the headlights, example.
Yeah. They're
pushing forward through this because they're like, look, you know what? I'm not going to go without a fight. I'm not going to go down without a fight. So I started my company. I've worked this hard. I've gotten this far. The hell with this. I'm pushing forward. And then you have the people that are retracting. Okay, they're retreating.
Yeah. Giving up.
They're pulling back.
Which is sad because you don't have to do that right now.
Right, exactly. And this goes for all across the board. I'm not even talking about businesses. I'm even talking about people also. So you have some people that maybe they lost their job, where now they're not wanting to take the risks that they were taking before to find work because they're so scared that there's a scarcity in work, so they're dropping their targets. Yeah. So it's now, okay, I'll take the 30 a year. I was making 80 a year, but I'll take the 30 now because I know there's not anything out there. You know, instead of increasing their value and showing more of what they can offer, they're going backwards. So like, okay, you know, I'm going to drop it down. We're going to have to readjust bills. We're going to have to work on saving here, on saving there. And we're not able to, we're just going to have to cut every, you know, like the flipping coupon method, you know, just in a career.
But what about people who, I mean, maybe this doesn't really pertain to you, but it's kind of hard because some people get into a mindset or they're depressed or whatever, and they're like, I got to do something, you know? Like, I see that a lot.
Of course I can relate. I wasn't always this positive.
I mean, it's really hard out here. For mental health is a big thing right now going on too, and it's just, you know, for people who are really, really just down and out, I really encourage you guys to go check out some of this information that Danny offers because I know that there's stuff in there that can and really change your mind, and you gotta roll with it sometimes.
Here's the thing: if they want to take away from what I just said, here's the thing: you got to make a decision of what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That would be what my advice would be. That would be my key advice. You got to make a decision. So you need to make a solid decision. Anybody who's in the middle is just going to allow time to go by, and you're going to end up failing anyways because you're not going in any direction.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to make a decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to let this pandemic destroy you? Destroy things you work for? Destroy the point that you're at? Are you going to allow it to continuously let you sink in the same mindset that got you in the position that you're in right now? Because you have to keep in mind, 78% of the U.S. population lives check to check. So 78% of the U.S. population were affected by this tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody was, but 78% of them were affected bad. And it's the mindset of, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this as a learning experience. What can I do going forward to prevent this from ever happening to me again? Or let me just wait till this blows over and I'll go back to my normal life. Or let me stick to being depressed and let things continuously get worse, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you got suicide, drugs, you know, I mean.
It's not good.
It can lead bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
Bad. Now is the time people need to make a choice.
And that's where I wanted to go with that.
The first thing comes from making a decision.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And that's a big fact because I know a lot of people who have taken this time to find a way to get by, and I know it's hard out there for some people because they're going to be like, no, it's not about making decisions, it's about, you know, what I can do and this and that. Well, actually, there is a lot of steps that people can take, and you can find a way and to get by simply by educating yourself and putting one foot right in front of the other. You wrote a book that is.
Well, you said. Wait a minute. You just said that it's not. They just said that it's not about making a decision, but doing nothing is still making a decision.
Well, yeah, that's
You're
true.
You're making a decision to do nothing.
That's true. But I think a lot of people are lost and don't even know where to start. So what I kind of was moving more towards was you wrote a book that is actually almost a step-by-step way that everybody can understand in actually moving forward into making a decision that's going to help you. So I wanted to kind of talk about that. I'll let you go ahead and introduce your book and tell them a little bit about it.
Well, let me start by saying this. I wrote that book. It's called The Sales Roadmap. And I wrote that book because you have a lot of people that there's three things. They know where they want to go, or they don't know where they want to go, but they know where they are in life, or in life, period. I mean, you can relate this to career, relationship, anything, right?
That's what I think, too. That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up.
Right, and then you have that third where they don't know anything of that. They just know that they're just going in a direction.
Yeah.
They don't know which direction they're going in. They're just wandering. Okay, so the reason why it's called the sales roadmap is because I wanted to have a step by step. Because I apply this to things that I've had an understanding of. Where first off, you have to know where you are, then you have to know where it is you want to go, and then you have to have a step by step understanding of what it is you're going to do in order to get there. So it's like I can have a good understanding of where I'm at, but if I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I need in order to get there. So it's got to entail those three things. You got to know where it is you're starting from, where it is you want to get. And it doesn't matter the order. I mean, whether it is, hey, listen, I want to make a decision where I want to be a millionaire, or I want to make a decision where I want to make $500 million or $1 billion. First you have to make that decision. Then when you make the decision, you have to find out, okay, where's my starting point? And then once I have an understanding of what my solid point is, what do I need to do in order to get there?
Right. Well, I know that your book basically laid it out, and when I read it, it actually relieved a lot of stress for me, because even going through like the pandemic and everything, I've been so overwhelmed. It's hard to like stay on track when you're just at home. There's other stuff going on. There's all this, people have stress and all these things, and you kind of just get off track. It's really easy, And so I did read your book, and it did help me to refocus and stay on track. And it was something that was so easy to read and absorb. And it really just kind of put me back in check. And I think that even for somebody who's a beginner in this and wants to start a new road or wants to start a new step in their life, this is something so easy to read and understand. I think it'd be beneficial, and you can actually apply it to anything, like you said, because all you got to do is change a few words, instead of being like sales, it could be like relationship. I got to start here and do this and do that, or mental health and all these different things. It's really great. And I want people to be able to have a chance to get that. I know that you can go to your website and all these things, but let's talk about a way that people can actually get your book from listening to this.
Well, they can go on the website. They go on my website, DannyCalafell.com, and there's the online store there. It's the only book there for now. There's going to be a lot more that I'm going to be adding there as time goes. They can find it on Amazon. It's on Amazon. They just type in the sales roadmap, or I think they can search by my name.
Yeah, they can.
If they type in Danny Calafell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But for our listeners, if you guys go ahead and go on there, I think you have a 14-day free trial for sales for them. And then
so however you want to do. You want to...
I would like them to be able to sign up and get the book for free if they do.
Okay. Yeah. So we can run we'll run that. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, so if they go on my site, DannyCalafell.com/increase sales. Okay.
Yep.
DannyCalafell.com/increase sales. What they're going to find there is the online portion of our sales training. So, like I mentioned to you before, we have 2 of the top sales training programs in the world, and it consists of over 500 courses and everything sales. Now, mind you, we sell this to Fortune 500 companies. Now, the difference is when you're talking about companies that purchase the program from us, whether it be the online portion or the live training, okay, when they end up purchasing the training from us, it's geared towards businesses. So we work with regular businesses. Then we have an automotive section for an automotive vertical, you could say, and then we have for individuals. Now, for the individual training, it's basically all that stuff just broken down and stripped of all the corporate and all the other things that were pertaining to a business. The content is stripped down, and it's fit for an individual. And then we offer support in addition to that. So it's like they're going to have access to the online portion of the training. So they're going to get video segments. They watch a video, take a test, retain the information. We have with the sales training that we have, it's the most comprehensive training system in the marketplace today. And the reason why I say that is because we incorporate so much work from an educational standpoint, where they can actually absorb the information and they learn. And I don't care how long somebody's been doing this. I mean, 30, 40 years. I tell people all the time, experience is the amount of time you've been doing something. It doesn't mean you've been doing a great or bad job. It just means you've been doing it for that long. So if you're getting advice, or you're relating your experience to tying into something that you learned maybe 20 years ago, well, you got to look back and you got to say, okay, has it worked for me for the last 20 years, and have I grown from this, or have I been the same? And am I basing my experience and my success off of 20 years ago, or am I basing it off of last month or last year? So this system that I'm talking about, this is what we break down for individuals, and they can get access to that if they go on the site again, DannyCalafell.com/increase sales. They'll be able to go on there. They go down to the bottom. They'll see 2 packages. We have the 14-day free trial. After that, I believe it goes back to $97 a month, and they'll have also access to purchase it for a year for a deal there also. And then anybody who signs up, we'll give them access to my book. So they're not only going to get the program, but they'll also get the book. And that trial, I can tell you right now, like there's some segments in there, like there's how to land a job in 72 hours. And I mean, we've had people that have gotten work within 24 hours.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's amazing.
Listen, everybody out there, I wanted to definitely bring Danny on the show because we wanted to give you guys an idea not only of how you can completely change your life by, I guess, the hashtag today would be making a decision. But not only that, but to let you guys know that there's options out there and there's ways to connect, network, meet people, and have some options in order to have a starting point once you decide to do something a little different with your life, and then move forward from there. Like I said, there's so many different things that he offers. There's you can go to his YouTube if you just want to watch that, or he has IG, or you can go to his websites. TRIWORLD, they offer business consulting, marketing, and digital marketing, sales, academy, software, all kinds of stuff on there that you guys can go look at. And it's really going to be beneficial. I definitely wanted to bring him on, not only because he was a pro athlete, but he had a record label, and then he did marketing. He's got all kinds of things for people. So thank you, Danny, for being on the show. I would have you give out all your no problem. I would have you give out all your handles, but we already know. Google him, Danny Champ Calafell. All you got to do is Google him. Everything's going to pop up because there's so much going on. But you can find him on YouTube. And all social medias. He's got a lot of information for people on YouTube, so make sure you guys go check that out. Danny, we want to thank you for being on the show. Is there any shout outs you want to give, or anything else you want to say?
You wrapped it up pretty much. My whole thing is helping people. So whatever point of life somebody's in, everybody can learn from no matter, how experienced or how far along they are in life from everybody. That's what makes everybody unique. So my whole thing is just to help as many people as possible. So, by them just going on, and whether it's looking at a YouTube or buying a program or going on a site or just, reading the book, I'm serving my purpose.
Exactly.
Which is just, trying to deliver as much to people as possible. Because I know what it's like to have nothing and grow up the way that I did. So anybody that I can help out and I can help, get through from things that I've learned and things that I'm constantly still learning. I'm nowhere near, where it is that I want to end up at my goal. But, like I said, you pretty much wrapped it up.
Well, we do want to encourage everybody to go to DannyCalafell.com/increase sales. Go down, find out about the 14-day free trial. Look to see what we do. If you guys sign up, then you guys get the book for free. Sales Roadmap. It's a layout for life, if I might say, because I feel like you can apply it to so many different things, and it definitely impacted me, especially during this time, and really helped me kind of get back in the mindset that I needed to be in. So Danny, I want to thank you for that.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you with people listening, what is it that touched you in the portion of the book? If you had to think of something, like what's something that really popped out?
I will tell you that when I was reading it, one, I was very impressed with just the layout of how you had everything, but it was I didn't make a note, and I wish I would have, but because I was camping and I was at the river and I was kind of reading it as I was traveling, so I didn't make a note. But I one of the things that I liked is that when you talked about first you have to know where to go, and then you have to do this, and then you have to make a map, and then you have to figure it out, and then you were talking about like at some point in life people had to figure out how to make a map so other people could figure out how to get to where they need to be. And I just thought that was like one of the greatest things ever. I was like, this is so dope. Like, you're putting this information out for people in such a simple way to understand. And it actually like moved me. I was like, this is really dope the way that you wrote this out and did this for people. Because I mean, a lot of people couldn't have did that. Now, for the listeners, this is a short book, so it doesn't take a lot of time out of your life to read, but it's a lot of great information at one time. So for me, it was the whole, like, people had to go on a journey, people had to figure this out, people had to do this. This is what you got to do, and you had all the steps to it. So to me, it just was, that was the biggest part. It was like, you know what? This is dope.
And that's why I made it short. The average person reads one book a year. Okay, so people don't like to read as it is. So it's like I wanted to have something short where it was just straight to the point. You know, it's 33 pages, 8 chapters. It took me about 2 hours to write it. It'll take somebody about an hour, if that, to read it. You know, so I wanted to have something where it's like somebody could just read it on a flight. You know, I mean, yeah. I know a lot of people aren't taking flights right now, but you know, I mean, it's. You know, it was just something simple, just to like pick up, skim through it, and you know, get whatever information. That's why I asked you, you know, what it was that you got from it.
Yeah, for me, it was just, I got so much from it, but it was more so just the layout, and like I said, it just put me kind of at ease and put me back in check. Like, okay, this is what I need to do. Like, the world is overwhelming right now. So for our listeners, if you read this book, it'll kind of just like lay it out for you. Like, okay, for everybody out there that feels overwhelmed or whatever, you can read it and it'll kind of just put you like 1, 2, 3, you know, you just get right back into what you need to be doing. If you're feeling overwhelmed or a little lost with what you're going through right now, there's some really good information, really good answers in there and good direction too. So you did that, Danny. You definitely did.
Yeah.
So we want everybody to go to DannyCalafell.com/increase sales. Check out the 14-day free trial. It does go to $97 after that. But if you sign up, you can get the book for free, and it will be worth it, I promise you. So Danny, we want to thank you for being on Track Talk Radio. I hope to be in contact with you in the future because I have some things that I want to talk about. We should talk about. I need more information from you. So, yeah, so we're definitely going to keep you guys updated on what Danny's got going on. I know you got you're maybe working on another book, so if that comes out, we will have that information for all of our listeners. So
when that comes out.
When.
It'll be done.
When, that's right. He's like, no, It will be done. So, okay, well, you guys, Google Danny Calafell, that's Calafell. Make sure you guys Google him and go check out everything he has going on. Make sure you guys, everything, because he's got a lot and it's all worth it. So, Danny, we're going to, I guess, say bye for now. And we're going to get into some music. If you ever want to come back on the show again, you're more than welcome.
I'd love to.
All right. All right, everybody, we're going to get into some music. Stay tuned. This is Track Talk Radio. Talk Radio. Talk Radio.